Hi, everybody. I am Heather Scarlett Wild. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Tonight, I am very honored to have my friend Blake Ferrin to be interviewed about the topic of pornography and porn addiction. Blake is a recovered from pornography and other compulsive sexual behaviors, and also alcohol, marijuana, smoking, food, and work. After 34 years battling these addictions, he was introduced to a combination of spirituality, knowledge, and healing that allowed him to put all these behaviors behind him practically overnight. Having gained his freedom, he now dedicates his life to sharing with others in the effort to help as many people as possible achieve the same happiness, which is wonderful. So thank you, Blake, for being on tonight. I appreciate you.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Heather.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. So there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of hoopla. It's been in the news a lot about, sex and pornography addiction. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And so I wondered if maybe you could give us a brief overview of what pornography addiction is.
I think the definition of pornography addiction matches the definition of addiction with anything else you're working with, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whatever. When it comes to the point that it becomes detrimental to your life, and that it's causing you, bad things in relationships and work and other places, that's when you've crossed the line into addiction that you may want to get some help for.
Okay, great. So problems, like missing work because you were watching pornography, or maybe getting fired from work because they caught you using pornography at work, like that sort of thing.
Absolutely. When you stayed up all night binging, and so you're not performing well at work. Exactly. When it goes over to the point where you're spending money on it that should be going to other things being neglected, such as bills or food or children. That's really not an issue these days with the internet. You can find things for free. But when it's affecting a relationship, when you've gotten to the point where you can no longer be intimate with a partner because of what it's come to, that's when you know that it's time to maybe step back and take a look at what you're doing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I like that definition, because I think a lot of people kind of take it to an extreme, and they think that anyone who is looking at porn at all, it must be an addiction. But it's really only when it crosses the line and it's causing problems. And that does happen for a lot of people. They get so programmed to their sexual response to porn that they can't really function with a partner.
Yes, that's one of the biggest ones. That's one of the things that I struggled with personally very much. When you've watched so much pornography for so long, you become completely, not to overuse the word, desensitized, to where just having an intimate relationship with your partner becomes so boring and mundane that you actually want to get away from that, and then it affects your relationship. You can no longer be close, be caring, be loving, and that's when it's really going to get in and hurt your relationship with your intimate partner.
Okay. So what we're talking about is something that can be very destructive.
Absolutely, in many ways.
Okay, yeah, because we talked about how it can affect your work, how it can affect your relationship. If you were buying pornography, which there are still ways to buy pornography. You're right, there's an abundance that's available for free. But someone still could run into, a problem spending too much money on it. So it really is a broad spectrum problem, potentially. Okay.
Yes, many areas of your life can be affected.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what are the warning signs? So we talked about kind of warning signs that it's starting to go from a casual use into kind of a compulsivity. And I don't think you mentioned this, but it's also, I know that my background with addiction is like when it goes from being something that you do by choice for fun to something that you can't stop doing, that you have no choice. Even if you don't want to do it, you're compelled.
Absolutely, yeah. When it becomes a compulsion, a lot of why people get into it and get started and do it. It's not about physical arousal. It's like drugs and alcohol. It's a coping mechanism. It's just that they chose something different. A lot of people choose it because they get exposed to it early, like other things. But, you know, if you are an alcoholic or overconsume alcohol, people around you usually know it. They can see it. If you use drugs, the people around you see the effects of it on you. Pornography is something that can be a very, very private addiction. I've known people that have gone as many as 20 years without their spouse even knowing it was an issue. So just because of the fact that it is such a secretive thing, it is so internal and so kept to oneself, that a lot of times it'll get clear to a breaking point before even people around you know that it's happening.
Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, so for anyone watching this that's realizing that they're crossing that line, or maybe they've crossed that line a long time ago, but they just didn't have any idea where they could go for help, what are some of the things that someone needs to do in the beginning to just kind of start on the path of recovering from this?
The biggest thing you can do is a support system, whether that is a 12-step group. People may not know, along with pornography addiction, 12-step, there is sexual addiction, sex and love addiction, relationship addiction. So you can attack your specific area, but it's how we're coping with something. If our intimate relationships aren't going well, or, you know, if a man, not to stereotype, if a young man has trouble relating to women his age, he may turn to pornography at an early age. So it's about finding out what it is you're hiding from with the pornography, and then find a support group to help you with that. Like I said, you know, 4 or 5 different 12-step groups. You can find a church group, a pastor, minister, you know, whatever your faith provides, as well as, you know, finding a coaching option or something like that. Just someone that can help you work through what you've got. The biggest part is finally coming out and saying, yes, I've got a problem. Like anything else, it's really hard to tell people what you're doing.
Yeah, I could see that almost being more stigmatized to certain people. I could see that a pornography addiction being more stigmatized than even being an alcoholic or a drug addict. So I love how open you are with this. And I know that it's because you're so passionate about helping people, you know, the same way that you were helped. And so I really applaud, you know, your willingness to talk about this so openly, to be visible. I really appreciate that. So if someone were interested in working with you, why don't you tell them like what the first steps toward that would be?
The first step to work with me or a coach, but with me, I have an opt-in email where I share some information with you, things that have helped me. That's available at www.stopmyrelapse.com. You go there, that'll take you to my website. You sign up, you're going to get a great little 8-page report I've written called The Definitive Guide to Avoiding Pornography. It's also going to give you a really huge bonus where you're going to get a free coaching session with me. But if it's not me, you know, find yourself a support system. Just let the secret out. It will be the biggest, hardest thing you ever do, but it is the only way to get on the road to recovery, is to just let people know that you need help.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can definitely second that. That's something I very much believe to be true. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any particular programs or any events that are coming up? I know on a Facebook group you were talking about a teleseminar. Was that just for coaches, or was that for potential clients, or?
That was actually something else for coaches. I'm welcome to do it with anyone. People looking for an email list is what that seminar is going to be about.
Okay.
The program that I use, what I've taken in my own recovery, that I share with others now, it's a combination of a lot of spirituality, digging deep into the soul and finding out who we are underneath. Some holistic medicine, there's energy healing, you know, some alternative things like that, that people may or may not know about. And then I take a whole lot of knowledge and information from many mentors and coaches. You'd mentioned Tony Robbins. He's one of my mentors. Christian Michelson has taught me amazing things in a very short amount of time. So I take those things, I put them together. The tag for my business is helping you find out who you are and be that person. It's not a matter of deciding who we are. We don't choose who we are. We don't pick who we are. We are who we were and always have been. And my program will help you find out who that is deep down inside, to bring that person out and live that way for the rest of your life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I love the work that you're doing. I love that, we've been able to connect and we've had some great talks, and I appreciate you being here with us tonight. So one last time, why don't you tell everybody the best URL to find you on?
The best place to find me is www.stopmyrelapse.com. I also have www.preventmyrelapse.com. Those will both take you to the same place. Sign up for my email list, get your definitive guide to avoiding pornography, and we can see if there's a relationship beyond that.
Okay, perfect. Well, I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy. We're all busy. So thank you so much for being on tonight, and just being so honest and being you and putting this work out there. I think I know that you're doing great things, and I know you're going to do even greater things. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. You have a great night.